They're okay. You sound good in your headphones. Do I sound good in your headphones?
Beautiful.
Yeah, I can only hear you on my headphones. Like I can't.
Yeah, no,
Hear it
that's
two ways, so,
fine.
yeah.
Are they loud enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Am
All right,
I?
you ready?
Am I talking okay now?
Yeah, no, everything sounds good.
A deficit of the attention and hyperactivity is in the name. But you can be one or the other, cause it doesn't have to be one and the same. Hyperfixation and procrastination and new ideas every day. Depression or issues with our motivation and not hearing what you will say. We will be motivated if what we are doing is important, engaging, or fun. Organization,
So much That was good. Oh, man. Can't take you
All
anywhere.
right. Welcome to this episode of Mental Mismanagement. We are your hosts, Ashley Burkeen and
Pat Fitzgerald.
And we have a special guest for you today. Miss Martina is in the waiting room. Get ready to come to the stage and join us. Patrick, another one of your team members, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but probably one of the most important ones, the gatekeeper.
I was going to say she controls the entire front end.
Yes, the gatekeeper is very, very important, especially when you have a brick and mortar business. And
yeah.
And I know that they use her for that purpose. So make sure, we just gonna get to know her. So without any further ado, please welcome Mrs. Martina into the stage. What's up, Miss Martina?
There we go.
Hi.
There she is.
There she is. So she's our front desk.
Yeah, she's our front desk. So
she answers the phone. She's everything. For all of you who are wondering who keeps answering the phones when you call, this is her.
This is her. And so Martina, tell us how you kind of became working for Epic.
It fell into my lap, literally. So we have a common friend who I know has been on here before, Julie, and she knew that I was very unhappy in the position that I was in before here, and was looking not only to get closer to home, but to be able to use my assets and skills better. And I think just as a friendship, knew that there could be a possibility here.
Yeah.
And yeah, to me, it was just a God thing completely, because it was, I was praying every day, just give me the next step. I don't need to see the whole picture, but I need to at least know I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
So far it's working.
So, and yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm able to.
Very cool.
Is it safe to say like this is the best job you've ever had?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've actually been looking for my place for another. I had left a brick and mortar business several years ago, and that's where I felt I was home, and been trying to find my way since then to get back to something like that. And that's just where I feel the most comfortable, where I can be the biggest asset. And as they mentioned, the gatekeeper, I take that very seriously. If you listen to my phone calls up there, and I'm like, and what would you like to speak to Patrick about?
Oh boy, does she screening for me. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is good.
Yeah.
I don't get all the crap calls anymore.
Well, not just the calls, but like the walk-ins. I know Ashley had told me before, like, we have a front desk person now, because people like Julie, which is my next question, will come in like, and I'll even do that sometimes. Like, I'm in the area, I'm at Walmart shopping or whatever, and I'm like, oh, Julie, I'll either drop it on Julie or drop it on Epic, right?
Yep.
And I'll never forget the first time you weren't here. It was the other lady, and I walked in, and she was like, who are you? And I was like, Ashley. And I just kept walking back, like, and she was like, no, who are you looking for? And I go, Ashley. And she's like, wait. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. So the question is, can you strong arm Julie when she comes across the street? How much of a gatekeeper are you?
I don't know of anybody that can strong arm Julie. That girl will punch her way through a crowd to get where she wants to go.
And since she was actually my way into the company, there would be no strong arm involved.
Yeah.
You open up the back door for her. You're like, come on in, girlfriend.
She's got her own way.
Yeah.
I can never get away from her.
Yeah. I know. I think every time I'm here for a podcast, she calls you at least once or twice while I'm
absolutely.
here. Yeah.
Absolutely. Speaking of, I hope my phone's turned off right now. I don't want anybody calling me.
Is it Julie 30?
It's Julie 30. Oh, poor Julie. She's going to be all over this podcast and not even here.
So as a gatekeeper, what is the kind kind of the biggest hurdle that you run into trying to protect the privacy and peace of the business owner, but also have that customer service kind of
My kids.
Oh gosh, I love kids. I love kids. I don't know that there's really been a hurdle. I mean, first and foremost, I mean, I'm here to protect Ashley and Patrick.
Yeah.
By all means. So, and then I mean, there's times when my mama bear comes out, but it's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I
It's
can
good
be
when the
nice
cops
till it's
show
time
up.
to
She
not
takes,
be nice.
She takes the fall for me.
From
so.
Roadhouse there.
Yeah.
I'm nice until it's time to not be nice.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's
Yeah.
good that you have that ability though, because there's a fine line between like being too sweet and not really being
There
good,
is.
good at
there's
gatekeeping,
there's
right?
that line of, where is it customer service versus you just don't need to be here.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
and that's the best part. You know that fine line. You walk that fine line very well, where you're like, no, he doesn't need to talk to you right now. You're trying to sell something. We don't need that too. And I've watched you completely flip sides on that on the next phone call and be the most customer service friendly person I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, how did she just do that?
Yeah.
She like went off on this guy and she's like trying to give this guy cookies now. It's like, what the hell's going on?
Well, I mean, that's one thing, I mean, that I pride myself on is exceptional customer service. And that's, I mean, I've been doing that since I was 18. So,
Yeah.
And I've been around the block for a while. So,
Yeah.
No, you can tell. It's even when we get clients that come in for design meetings and things like that. I mean, the attention to them, the attention to the detail behind it that she puts in. Do you want water? Let me get you this. Let me do that for you. I mean, it's like we're a 5-star restaurant and all we're doing is trying to serve you some, new colors for your bathroom or something. And she's over there trying to give them steak and filet mignon and everything.
Yeah. So,
but it creates a neat atmosphere.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, I adore her. She gave me a book like the 4th time I ever saw her. So I adore her. Okay, so customer service. This is a great opportunity. Patrick and I have some topics we want to talk about, or that we have to re-talk about because we're tech challenged.
Oh my God, we had such technical difficulties for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, for like 5 podcast episodes. Yeah. So
no audio.
Yeah, but I feel like this was alignment, and this conversation was meant to be had with her because she is the gatekeeper and she deals with customers a lot. But
I just want to say I looked really good in those podcasts, though.
Me
Even
too.
though you can't hear anything, I think we looked amazing.
Yeah, and it was before my roots started to grow out. So. But which leads me to this is this phrase that you've heard a million times: the customer is always right.
Oh.
Until they're not right.
I love it. See?
I mean, you have to know how to walk that line.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on, that's based on what the company policy is and what they do. For instance, I actually left the office world for a few months to just work at a restaurant. And my husband thought I was absolutely crazy. He's like, after 35 years, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I said, but it's so fun. And I can't work 2 jobs anymore. So I quit the restaurant. And then they came back and offered me a full-time position for the same money. And it's fun. I mean, I ran the entire dining room.
Yeah.
I did the register. I cleaned and took care of every customer. I mean, during lunch rush, everything. I loved it. I enjoy that. But here's the thing. They believe the customer is always right. It doesn't matter. My daughter actually worked there for a while too. And we had a customer come through the drive-thru, had ordered a sundae. She brought the sundae inside and said, this did not have cherries on it. And I know it looks like there was a cherry on there because there's a dent and there's the red stuff coming down, but it didn't have a cherry on it. And I need my sundae remade. And my daughter's like, but it's obvious the cherry was on there. And she's like, okay, well, if you give me that, no, I'm going to keep this one too. And my daughter, being 16, she's like, Mom. And I'm like, okay. We went and talked to the manager. I said, but this is the deal. This particular franchise has decided that the customer is right. No questions asked. If they're not happy, we remake it and we let them keep it.
Write it on food costs. Move on. Yeah.
Right. So
Mhm.
you don't take those things personally.
Mhm.
It depends on know your
Right.
space, know your policies,
Yeah.
Right.
and go on with that. I mean, they felt the customer's satisfaction and word of mouth
Mhm.
was more important than making an extra Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. You have to kind of,
Yeah.
customers right until they're not.
Yeah.
It depends.
Well, that's a great example too, because I come from the restaurant industry, so I get the fun side of it, right? I do. I could do it in my sleep probably to this day, and I haven't worked it in like 10 years, but I bet you I could do it in my sleep, the hustle and bustle of it. But you're right, specifically the restaurant industry, especially if it's a fast food restaurant, right? Because I was born and raised in fast food, like management all the way up, right? So I get that. And it is difficult sometimes because you're like, this just isn't right. Like this person's taking advantage of the system here, right? And
Absolutely.
like in your almost like in your body, it makes your body like cringe to be like, oh, like on principle, right? But you're right. It is the policy of that company that no matter what, you're going to replace, remake the food, give them a refund, whatever.
And that's not just in the fast food or
Oh,
the
sure.
restaurant
No,
industry.
not just.
So I had recently in the past couple weeks, I've had a couple windshields replaced in some of the fleet. That just I don't know why everybody decided to follow whatever truck it was at the time. Seemed to be a couple of them this past month now, and
they were here quite a few times.
I followed that
Right?
same truck. Just so you know.
Jeez.
You get a group discount next time. Let me in on it.
Right. So I was talking to one of the techs, and I won't say the company or anything like that, but he said, he's out there taking pictures all the way around the car of every little thing that's going. I'm like, it's a fleet car, man. I mean, it's got dents and scratches, and they beat these things up. He goes, "Oh, I know." I said, well, "What are you worried about?" He goes, "Well, so we had an old truck come in a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, whatever it may have been. It could have been a couple years ago. I don't know." And he said the guy, it's an old Dodge. So old body style Dodges, all the dashboards cracked on them.
Mm-hmm.
He said, so we replaced the windshield in this Dodge. And the guy came in after he walked outside. He came in, he says, my dashboard's cracked. And he says, just so happens we took pictures of everything and we showed him the pictures of the before and after. He goes, well, he can't, fault me for trying at least. I'm like, what? And the guy blatantly said, well, you can't fault me for trying. Like he was literally trying to scam the system to get a new thing. And it's like, we deal with that on a daily basis with customers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we do, and I shouldn't say daily basis, but as a company, you will deal with that at some form or fashion with a customer. And a lot of times in our industry, I've learned that it's not so much the customer's always right, blah blah blah. No, the customer thinks they know and don't actually understand. Maybe it's just a process that we have to go through. Maybe it's they're only seeing a partial build versus the full build, and this is just the step. So you think that this is wrong. Well, it's not wrong. It's just you're only on step 2 when you're thinking that we're on step 6.
Yeah.
So I have a problem with that whole the customer's always right thing. I feel people try to take advantage of it.
Well, I think the windshield guy and the Sunday guy, right, are probably one-offs. Those people probably the people that take advantage are probably a little bit less than we think, right? But I don't know.
It feels like it's a lot.
Well, yeah. Well, because it's louder. I think that whenever it's the customer's right, it's loud. You know what I mean? Like, and then there needs to be a solution, resolution, that kind of thing. But I think the customer is not necessarily always right, but I think the goal is to always make it right for the customer, right? Depending, obviously, we're not going to throw money at the wall when they're totally wrong. But
and there are times where the customer has you know what, you're right. That's not supposed to be that way. Let me fix that for you. And then you go and you fix it. But there's other times you just want to kind of reach through the phone and strangle them and be like, hold on a minute. We're not even at that point yet.
Martina, have you ever reached through the phone yet?
No, I mean, my experience has been that when I've worked in offices or things where there's more than just me doing customer service, the people who have broken English or the people who are difficult or the people that are screaming always get sent to me. So I'm used to that. So I've been a gatekeeper of sorts for a long time.
That's funny.
Yeah. And how do you calm that? How do you calm for those listening, right? maybe you don't have a gatekeeper, or maybe you have one and you're like, they just let everything fly through the gate. They're not stopping nothing. I'm dealing with all of it, right? How do you calm a disgruntled customer or somebody that just
I've learned hanging up the phone helps.
That's why
Most
you
of the
hired
time,
her.
they just want to be heard.
Yeah.
So, and you have to figure out that line of, okay, allow them to vent, and then, is there something that I can do to make this better, or are you just going to stay dissatisfied?
Right.
Kind of thing, with
Mhm.
without being so blunt like that.
Yeah. Are you
So-
calling to gripe because you're just that mad? You don't care what the solution is. You just
Mhm.
want to tell somebody you're mad, or are you calling because you want help with trying to find the solution? And that's where she comes in. It's unbelievable.
Nice.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
So it's funny because, if you ask my husband, he says it's scary if I get upset with somebody, like in a situation
Yeah.
where I'm the client. And he's like, I don't want to be there. I want to run. But I also try very hard to be the same on the other side.
Mhm.
Try to understand if there's a reason why what happened, like you said, like it's a
Mhm.
different step. Something like that. And if I am upset, I truly feel like it is the fair thing.
Mhm.
And if you can point out where I went wrong, I'm all for that. But if there's something I think needs to be fixed, I mean, if I paid a lot for this meal and I asked for no such and such, and
Mhm.
it comes with that, I'm sorry, I'm very nicely going to ask you to remake it.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah.
You
Well,
don't
yeah.
need to take it off my bill unless I'm totally disgusted by your food
Yeah.
completely. I just want it remade. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think there's,
But
you don't have to be rude about it.
You come from a lot of grace,
So
which I think you have to.
I try to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Patrick? Do you give grace, or are you just the complainer?
You know what? Believe it or not, I mean, most people would probably think I'm just a complainer, but I'm the first. I'm the last one to complain about anything.
Yeah.
I'm just like, screw it. I'll eat it like this. I don't care.
Yeah, I do. Like what food, certain things, right? But like with food and stuff like that, I'm just gonna suck
Yeah.
it up and eat
I'm
it.
just like, whatever.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a people pleaser. Well, ex people pleaser, but still, there's just some stuff where like I'm just not gonna battle that out for that, and I don't want to have to. And also I think with food, because I come from the industry, I know sometimes it's not the waitress's fault or it's not the kitchen's fault.
Right.
Like you don't really know whose fault it is, and do you know what I mean? Like, and I just know that stress of that kind of life, so I'm just not going to add more stress to them.
Well, and I always try to say up front, I know this isn't your fault. Maybe I said it
Yeah.
wrong, whatever, but I need it remade. So
Yeah.
when it comes to food, I know maybe that comes from being an only child and I was never made to eat something I didn't like. And I always try to, like Thanksgiving. We host Thanksgiving every year for the last 25 years. And we could have 15 to 20 people. And I always make sure I talk to everyone ahead of time. Is there something special that means Thanksgiving to you or whatever?
Oh, that's sweet.
Our youngest daughter's boyfriend doesn't eat any Thanksgiving food except rolls. So I order him emos the day before and I have it ready. So that he,
Nice.
I try to make sure everyone
You're so
has
great.
something.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I don't like something, I'm gonna nicely ask to have it remade.
Well, you should. I mean, that's normal. You should. You're paying for a service, right? You should.
Right.
They should do it right. I'm not saying that. I just can't. I just feel bad unless it's a steak, because I'm not eating no beef jerky steak. Like if it's over medium, it's going back. But otherwise,
You want to coming out mooing at you, don't
yeah,
you?
I do. I do. I
Yep.
do. I want a juicy.
I'm the same way.
If
I'm the
it's
same
too
way.
cooked, I'll be like, guys, like 3 minutes on each side. Put that sucker on the blade.
Yeah.
Put a little towel to get the blood up.
Have just torch each side real quick. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Because I think like when you pay for a service as a customer, I think that you should get what you pay for, maybe, and definitely some good service that comes along with that. I'm just a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I
can see that.
But I have been around people. I've been around somebody that like sent a steak back like 3 times, and I will overcompensate and tip that person just for my friend's issue, and they'll never go out to eat with that person ever again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because like
Oh,
at some point, they're just not going to get it right. It's 4 times now. Are you being like hypersensitive, or there's only 5 ways to cook a steak?
Right.
So, but yeah, you should definitely. I think you're paying for a service. You should definitely get what you want, and definitely not. And I don't even think it's complaining. I think it's giving feedback of how you want to be better as a business owner. Like this is my feedback as your customer, and I think sometimes it comes off as a customer complaint, which is where the customer's always right comes from. But I think
Yeah.
if business owners and businesses took it as its feedback, constructive feedback, when they don't get it right every time. But what is the worst customer you've ever had to deal with in any capacity, not just Epic, obviously?
Oh, I thought you were talking to me for a second. I'm like, well,
Not you. You're a construction man. We're not asking you that question.
So in some industries, it seems easier to use the term customer, and in some industries, it's easier to use the word client.
Sure.
Mhm.
So I will, if we're going to talk about the most difficult experience, and I'm not really going to have a good solution for it.
okay.
I had a client who
that's the good ones.
Give us the
I
tea,
was-
girl.
I was told, I have to answer every phone call.
Mhm.
I don't think that was me.
No, it wasn't here.
Okay.
So I was the only admin for several people. I'm not even going to say what their role was, but they were all the same.
Mhm.
We'll call them officers. Okay. And it was my job to answer every call. And the goal was to pass them to their officer.
Mhm.
The officers didn't always want to talk to them.
Mm.
That's how it goes. So
Makes sense.
we had a gentleman who literally called me between 6 and 9. I think it was 9 times in 2 hours. And all he wanted to do was straight up cuss me out, F word, every other word, and then start talking about sexual innuendos. And I'm like, sir, there's nothing that I can help you with. I mean, you're not calling
This is
me.
not the right call station for that.
Because I paid the bills for, different calls. I said,
Yeah.
you're not calling me about an issue that I can resolve for you. Your officer is not available.
Mm.
And I'm sorry, I'm not going to allow you to speak to me that way. And tried as kindly as I could. And he just kept calling back. That last time I could see the officer across from my office. And I said, it's him again. I can see the caller ID.
Yeah.
Do I seriously have to take this call again? Yes, it's your job to take the call. Okay, but you clearly know there's nothing I can do to help him and you're not willing to talk to him.
Mm-mm.
Yes, take the call. That was the company I left, by the way.
Yeah, no, I knew this story. I knew what story it was. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in that case, I don't know that I had a good resolution. I mean,
Yeah.
I did the best I could to be kind and never speak derogatory back to him
Mhm.
derogatorily.
That's crazy.
And I mean, always tried to be as kind as possible. I didn't just hang up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
those are
would have
hard.
at that point.
I'm flabbergasted. No, I would have been
Yeah,
derogatory
I'd have
to the
blocked him and
officer
everything.
that's not taking the phone call after I've been verbally abused 9 times. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Absolutely.
That's who I would have been like,
Absolutely.
okay, well, you answer the phone then. It's for you. Would you like a piece of this? Shame on that officer.
This is why you don't run my front desk, right?
No, sir.
Shots fired. Oh,
No.
not again.
But I think the hardest part was that to not let it get to me.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, because I'm a firm believer in, I mean, you can't let 5 minutes that someone tried to ruin your day allow the next 5 hours. I mean, you have to be able to let it roll off. And that's something in that situation I definitely struggle with, trying to, how do I get my head back in the game?
Well, I think that's huge
So-
though, because imagine this guy was the same person 9 times, but imagine 9 times every 2 hours of the day, every single day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
some days are worse than others, I'm sure. Or some days nothing.
Unfortunately, he didn't call every day.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah.
Like just how they say like water can make a dent into stone over time as it drips or whatever. Surely that negative just, even if it's personal or not, and you're taking it personal or not, just surely that negative just kind of, when you get home from work, what do?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, my
So-
husband's like, "Why are you so?" I'm like, but I wasn't the one that yelled at you.
Yeah, I got verbally
Like,
punched
okay,
in the
but I
face
gotta
today.
Let it out somehow.
Yes. You're my
So,
safe space.
That
Let me beat you up.
actually brings up a good question. So, what do you do at the end of your day when you get home? How do you decompress from everything that goes on? I mean, even here, I mean, you get what, 20, 30 phone calls a day, maybe? You
Yeah.
get a lot of phone calls. So,
I don't rest well.
Really?
I don't relax well until I put on my CPAP machine, then I'm out.
No
But
way.
other
Really?
than that, I don't watch TV at all.
Okay.
I can't, I mean, I will go until I can't anymore. And then my
Yeah.
body just shuts down. And then I just kind of veg out and will
Boy, is
watch
she not like us or
Yeah.
what?
I mean, the ADHD just takes
Yeah.
over and
Hi,
I'm just
twin.
like,
What a
I'm
fit.
just,
Yeah.
I mean, I just go until I'm completely exhausted
Yeah.
and depleted. But that's
So we
probably
do.
why I volunteer so much at church. I mean, last weekend, well, I guess you're not really supposed to I'm not bragging about that, but I mean, like when I left, last week, so Saturday morning, I went and worked at the food pantry, and then I came home from the food pantry, and then I spent about 3 to 4 hours preparing a meal for a meal train. And we went and took that, and I'm trying to think what I did when I got home. I guess I'm trying to, I don't think I taught Sunday school this week, so I'm trying to think. I don't know what I did when I got home Saturday night. Maybe started like laundry and stuff. I don't know. But it was like all weekend I was doing some stuff. And then like Sunday we had church. And then right after church, we went back to the pantry and we were breaking down some pallets, food pantry, and helped with that. And then got home and then went back to cooking and
Wow.
doing laundry. And
So how do you decompress?
I don't, I put on my CPAP machine.
I mean, literally, that's wow.
So
That's good. And by the
I don't
way,
know.
it's not bragging by one, we're asking you, right? So you're offering
Right.
up the information. You're not just out there like, I went to the pantry, right? And two, that brings up another thing, and you'd be a good person to be on this conversation too, is people are always like, stop when you do good deeds, stop posting on social media.
Right.
Here is my thought on that. Maybe some people are bragging, look at me, right?
Sure.
For me, I do not take it that way at all when somebody posts. For me, I take it as they are bringing awareness to a cause just
Exactly.
by offering the title up on social media, right? They are probably motivating people that have thought about wanting to do something that now maybe this is the thing that they've been looking for. Okay. And they are sharing it with the masses. And we know what the power of the masses can do when they have the knowledge that is needed, right? So for me, when people get upset because like, stop, if you were doing it out of the good kindness of your heart, you wouldn't share or talk about it. Like, no, I don't think about the food pantry, but now you say that, I'm like, oh, that would be such a good opportunity for me and the kids to be able to volunteer. That was my first thought. That was never, I did not think, oh, she's bragging about that.
Yeah.
I'm really big on like, I don't know everything that we can do to give back. And I want people to share about that or bring awareness to it in the way of sharing so that other people are like, oh, that seems so simple. I could do that. I have nothing going on. Right.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a really good point.
The neat part about that is that because you see it, somebody else doing it, you'll see something like you just said. So it goes out to the masses or the mob or however you want to call it. Well, so it was always called the mob.
I just like the way you said it.
Not that mob.
No, I know.
I just caught on. It took me a minute there, man.
But that's a good point though, because I mean, at my church, I am involved with the children's ministry. I'm on staff with the children's ministry. I am assistant leader for the women's ministry as a volunteer. I mean, I try to volunteer in all different ways through our church and stay busy with that. But I hadn't helped at the food pantry. And it was someone that worked there, that volunteered there, that posted, hey, we've got a lot of people out sick. Can anybody show up tomorrow morning? And there was like 4 of us that had never done it before that all signed up on our own. We'll be there. So yeah, definitely. I mean, to bring awareness and everything. And then after I was there, I saw all these pallets that weren't open yet. And I said, what is going on with that stuff? Because we ran out of what we were giving out today. Yeah. I mean, there's so many families that we provided for this past Saturday. And they're like, well, the main couple that heads it up for the food pantry, the directors for our food pantry there, the wife had been out for several weeks due to an illness. I don't know if it was injury or what, but she was out for quite a while. Sure. So she said there hasn't been anyone to organize like breaking down the pallets. So those have been there, for several weeks. Yeah. And I'm like, why don't we make an announcement at church? I mean,
Yeah.
and she said, well, we're going to come in Wednesday. And I said, okay. I said, well, I see 5 pallets. How many are you going to get done on Wednesday? And she said, well, it'll take us several hours, but we'll get through one. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to message the
Get through
pastor
one.
Yeah.
and see if we can make an announcement tomorrow and see who's available to
Yeah.
come over after church and just break down 1 pallet.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We made an announcement, and there was probably my husband came and helped. There was another couple that came and helped, and then there was a couple that was used to being there. So I want to say there was maybe 8 of us, but we knocked out that pallet in a little over an hour. Everyone was
Wow.
starving, so we didn't do more than that, because it
Right.
was right after church. But I asked the one teenager that was
Everybody's
there.
at Zadox at
Yeah.
that point.
She's like, I can't believe how fast we got done. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, it's like 1, I mean, how long would it have normally been? She goes, normally we would have been here till like 3 or 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh my
And I'm
god.
like,
Yeah.
more hands make light work,
Yes.
So, and had I not seen the post
Mhm.
to know to show up on Saturday, I wouldn't have seen the need that they had to break down more, so.
Yeah, and that's that. But then that's the neat part, because you didn't go and post about it. You didn't like, oh, look at me, I'm helping out with this. So just because one person is doing that, they may reach 30 people that go and help that never post anything.
Yeah.
So, and
That's a great point.
that's what people need to understand, is that they're not so much doing that. Again, there are probably a couple that are, and maybe just a handful that are doing it for themselves, but
Sure.
the other people are doing it for the reason that they're doing it for, that is to help somebody. But then it touches 20 other people that go out and help somebody but never post anything about it. So
Mhm.
it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're just seeing one thing, and maybe they do it over and over and over and over again. Okay, you're getting tired of seeing it, blah blah blah. I get it. But you know what? That's because you've seen it 20 times.
Yeah.
What about the person that's just their first time seeing it, and
Mhm.
now they went out and did a good deed?
Yeah.
Right.
Or the person that wants to help but doesn't know who to ask.
Right.
Like needs
Yeah.
help.
Or
Right.
doesn't even know where to go or
Yeah.
what to do to help. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden they see you doing something, and it's whatever it may be, and they go, well, I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next
Well,
thing you know, they're helping 5 people.
Well, yeah, and think about and people each have their thing, right? Like there are people that are really
Mhm.
big on the animal thing, and people that are
Yeah.
really big on police officers, first responder, backstoppers, right?
Right.
People that are really big on it's like there's so many things that you can give back to and help. And sometimes it's like, how do I know who? Well, if I meet Martina, I know that she walks with the Lord and she's doing goodness everywhere, including at my friend Epic's office.
You can't have her. I know where this is going. You don't get no. This is no.
I'm not saying it for that reason, but like-minded people, right? And she's into something like the pantry, and she's been doing it for a little bit or whatever. I know when she's gonna have the knowledge, so I can be a part of something good, and she's gonna tell
Sure.
me what it's like. But I also know that she's gonna know where the dollars are going. If she's doing it, I can buy in without asking a lot of questions. Just kind of get to work with being helpful and making an impact. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think there's that too. But yeah, a lot of people you'll see post. If you were doing something good, you wouldn't need to post about it. And I'm always
Well,
like,
here's-
I'm
lay
not
off
sure
them.
what's
Here's the
going
other
on.
thing too. If
You're
you
fine.
have one person, like for instance, with the food pantry, I
Mhm.
don't know if this would work in every scenario, but
Sure.
with the food pantry, you have one person that posts and they're bragging about how they got to help and they did all this.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe they're doing that, but there was still
Mhm.
60 families that were helped last weekend.
Sure.
Yes.
So who cares if one person's bragging about
yes.
it?
Yes.
It's why are the other people in it, or who gets helped in the end anyway?
Yeah.
If they're doing it to make themselves look good,
See,
but in the end, the people are still getting helped.
Yeah.
I don't
Who
care how
cares?
good you look. You
Yeah.
did you
Yeah.
you passed the mission, or
Yeah.
you completed the mission
Yeah.
at that point.
That's a
you know?
great point.
Yeah.
Even if the person that has bad intentions is doing it for ego, they are still making an impact.
And on the other
Somebody else
side of
does see
that,
it.
like with helping the homeless,
Mhm.
we're in Troy. We have a spot,
Mhm.
47 and 61, where there's a lot of times.
Really?
there's
I've never
someone
noticed.
I know I didn't want to
Well,
laugh
there's-
when you said we have a spot. I was like, I knew exactly what you were talking
Yeah.
about.
So, and here's my thing with that. And I'm probably am in the minority about how I feel about this. But my thing is, if you feel led to help someone, for instance, a stranger on the side of the street with a
Mhm.
sign, if you feel led to do something, do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a
obey the
reason.
Holy Spirit
Yeah.
or whatever is
Mhm.
quickening you to do that. Obey it. And it's not up to you what they do with that.
Right.
If I have $5 on me and I feel led to give them $5, at that point, when it goes to them, I have done what my job was.
Mhm.
What they decide to do with that is on them.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's not, it
Yeah.
doesn't change whether I'm going to help them.
Right.
So now
No,
I
you
will
shouldn't
say I'm
help
more
them with
apt
a
to, when they say
stipulation.
they want food, I'm more apt to go buy food
Yes.
than I am
Sure.
just to give cash, but I also don't have cash on me a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have worked, I don't know if you guys have heard of First Step Back Home, but I worked for them for a while, helping homeless, especially men, because
Yeah.
there's not as many places for men to go.
No, we're
and
supposed to just rough it out on the outside. And that's
if you're
why-
not married
I know.
or you're not addicted to drugs at that moment, there's hardly any help for you.
Mm.
So, and
Which is so sad. You got to be addicted to something
or
to get
or
the
a
help.
woman, right? And
Right.
and the need is in the Tri-County area, especially between Lincoln and Warren and St. Charles. The need is very big.
Mhm.
And basically, my job was, gentlemen would call in, and then I would go pick them up and take them to the hotel
What?
that we would get them rooms for. And then there were things they had to do. You know, they had to look for a job. You know, tell me 3 different places they were, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, I did that for quite a while. And, you know, pray with people and take them meals and, you know, get different things. And I had to quit doing it because I'm, you know, not a very tall woman, and I'm driving all over picking up these men with trash bags that, you know, I know may not be the first person you'd want to meet and drive alone with in your car
Sure.
and
Yeah.
drive all the way to Wentzville, you
See,
know.
this is why she fits in. She's crazier than I thought.
I bet she's low key scrappy.
I
This
bet
one.
she is too.
Oh, are we going to go to that topic?
Okay, let's go.
Let's go. What do we got?
Because well, I mean, totally switching gears will probably surprise you. Most of the fist fights I got into as a teenager, I would only fight guys because
Oh
I only
my
had
God,
one fight
there
with
it
a
is.
girl.
See?
Because here's the thing. If you lose, everybody feels sorry for you because the guy beat you up.
Right.
And if you win, it's his worst nightmare. So, you know, it's a win-win for the girl.
Oh my God.
I love it.
Man.
I knew she was scrappy.
See, this is why she's
Small
at the
but
front
mighty.
desk. This is
Small
why
but
she's
mighty.
at the front desk.
Yeah, you can even.
The Sicilian peeks out.
I don't even know I
every
had
once in a while.
security
That's it.
here. This is awesome.
Have you met Epic Security too?
Yeah. Getting her shirt.
Right.
You wanted an Epic shirt. It's going to say Epic on the front and security on the back.
That's about right. And yeah, especially if you ask my family, that they will tell you.
I love that
Oh,
so
that
much.
is so cool.
I think it's so cool.
So,
Man.
like I said, I'm nice until it's time to not be nice. I
love
know
it.
how to not be nice.
Do
She's
not
that
let
bomb.
me get on that side.
Yeah, that bomb, that tick
I
tick
do
boom.
not want to be over. Yeah, that's the tick tick boom right there.
Oh, well, did you see my face? I can't wait to watch this edit whenever I edit it, because when you say like, yeah, I used to go down there and pick up men, and you're like, I'm the one that drove them. I was like,
I know. I did the same thing. I'm like, she did what?
yeah. Well, good for you. Or just all around
That's
awesome.
really cool, though.
Yeah, that is cool. That's very cool. You
Man,
should-
I
you better
really get
watch
to know
out.
my employees through this, don't I?
Yeah, we do.
I didn't know I hired a bouncer.
I love it.
Yeah, I said. I mean, that's what I was thinking about when you were talking about like watching, you know, the people that come in. I mean, you
Mhm.
were talking about you and Julie, but
Yeah.
but I know there's a lot of situation around here. Like for instance, I mean, this used to be a health office,
Mhm.
Right.
you know, things like that. So, and I mean, that's
Yeah.
one thing that we discussed that, yeah, I can handle that.
Well, it's important. Yeah, I no joke.
So-
I believe you.
We've had on occasion, you know, it's only happened once or twice where we've had somebody come in thinking this was, you know, rehab center still or something like that. And they're like, oh, well, what are you guys now? We're like, yeah, we do construction.
Yeah.
I can reconstruct you, but I can't
No,
rehab you.
Not the same way.
Not the same, no. But yeah, no, that's
That's
man,
cool.
I had no idea.
Now, I
That's so
probably would
cool.
ask him if I could pray for him before I showed him the door,
Yeah.
but yeah, I got
love
you.
that. I love that so much.
She's got him by the neck. Can I pray with you?
Are you going to stay here until I'm done praying? And then you
yeah.
can go?
Well, the way I this is Martina. The way I see it, you got 2 choices: punch or pray. Which one's it gonna be?
Oh my god. That's so cool.
I love it.
That is so cool.
Very cool. Yeah. So you're the right person for customer service. For sure. I love that. I love that though. So cool. Small but mighty.
I don't have to worry about the customers, whether or not they're right or wrong around here.
No. You love to give back. So do you find do you do most of your giving back like through church and stuff? Is that kind of the avenue that you find?
Yes and no. I mean, I guess it depends on how you define giving back.
Sure.
Like Julie and Drew were someone that really struck me right off the bat. Well, first of all, I fell in love with their oldest child, Blaine. He was one of my kiddos when I was teaching 3rd through 5th grade. So, and he was one that I really connected with right off the bat. And then when I found out there was more of them, and
oh, there's more of them,
and started having them in classes and stuff. And when I became actual staff and not a teacher anymore, I got to get to know the rest of the kiddos. And so I just went up to Julie one day, I didn't know her that well. And I said, is there any chance, like, would you guys like to go out on a date or something? Can I just come watch your kiddos and, just come hang out with them? I just
like
think
she would come babysit, not go on the date with them.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Sorry. I said, can I, come to your house and watch your kids and, you guys go out? And I'm like, you got 4 kids. I don't know what your family situations are like, but I mean, it can't always be easy to find a sitter. And she's like, sure. So
sucker.
Yeah. So I went and hung out with them. And then, a few weeks later, I'm
quick
like,
run before she changes her mind.
No. I mean, a few weeks later, I'm like, so is there anywhere like you guys want to go away overnight some night? I'll just, come have a sleepover. And she's like, let me talk to Drew. And so they got
6 weeks later, they came back.
So yeah. So I mean, I guess it depends on, like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know they like one of the times they gave me some deer meat or whatever, and they're like, "You want some deer meat?" I'm like, "I love deer meat. Yes, I will take deer meat." And she's like, "Well, you won't let us do anything else for you." And I'm like, "Well, no, this was how I wanted to bless you."
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, I guess it depends on how you define give back. I mean, I'm always trying to look for ways of things like that. If I don't have the monetary funds, I'll find out another way to give monetary. Time.
No, you just come from contribution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I see a need, if I
time is
see somebody stressed out, or
I think money is just the easiest way to give back, right? It's kind of like not personal in a sense, where you're busy or whatever, but I like that you volunteer at the children's church and that stuff. That's cool.
I saw a lot of the for a while I was a youth group leader as well, but my husband said I had to be home some nights, so I had to cut back a little bit. So but
Hubby's like, really? I haven't seen you for weeks.
But some of the girls, teen girls, kept coming up to me and they're like, we really miss you being there, and we want to study some more. So so last fall I started a very small, I opened it up to all the girls, but it was ended up being a very small teen girls Bible study group, just awesome. For a length of time for one Bible study.
That's pretty cool.
And but I told them, I said, and it was about who we are in Christ. So it's like, you have all those labels out there, and these girls are constantly coming down on themselves, or other people are saying things to them about their bodies or about their personality, or just all kinds of things. And I wanted them to have a firm foundation at 13 to 16-year-olds, to know who you are and not to listen to those voices.
Yeah.
And it was a Bible study called Defined. I mean, it was what defines you. And so I told them, so we were meeting twice a month because teenagers are so busy. I mean, it's about as good as I could do, so I had them come to the house, and so I said there was only, I think 4 girls involved. It was very small, but you could really dig deeper that way. And and then I had another mom helping me. So I always try to make sure, there's another adult, their protection, my protection, kind of thing. So, but I told them, I said, not only do I want to get this ingrained in you over these next couple months to shut out those other voices and know who you are.
Yeah.
And but I also want you to give back to your community in a way that maybe you have not thought of.
Right.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to
That's pretty
come up
cool.
with the first project. And if we do this again, then we can talk about it. So what I did was, again, these girls were 13 to 17, I guess, at this time. And I said, I'm going to go to our church group and I'm going to find, we ended up finding with me and the other leaders, so I guess 6 other women. I said, I'm going to find 6 women from our church that are over 60-ish years old. And I want you guys, I called it bridging the gap.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a luncheon in November, and it was right after church, and the young girls had to serve the women.
Nice.
So they came up with the meal or whatever. And
That's pretty cool. Actually.
and then I
Yeah.
did like some icebreaker things where they learned about that generation and them. And I also prefaced it with the women that I asked, and it was a 40-day commitment.
Wow.
So I think maybe about 5 weeks, but
Mhm.
for the older women and the teenagers, they had to make this commitment. And so what I asked the older women to do, the first meeting was, I said, I want you to bring your iPads, your phones, whatever it is that you're struggling with technology, you bring it, because I want the younger girls to show that they have something that they can offer you.
Nice.
So you bring your questions to them,
Nice.
and then I want you to bring something that you would like to teach them. Well, the girls got wind of that I was asking the older women to teach them, and unanimously they all said, we want them to teach us cursive. And I said, you want them to teach you cursive in 30 minutes? I'm like, okay. So I put it out there, and these older women, without me even saying it, they went out and bought like handwriting tablets and all this
Oh my
stuff, and
gosh.
all these things, and we're trying to teach these teenage girls how to do cursive and everything. We had a blast. And so then
I got a conspiracy theory on the whole cursive thing when she's done.
okay. And then at the end of that 5 weeks, then we had a Christmas party, because it just happened to be close to Christmas. And the older women then had to serve the younger women. So then
wow.
they did the meal. And
God, I wish I could have been
just
at that
hang
meal.
out.
That had to be amazing.
It was pretty good. But here was the big thing. So during that time in between, part of the commitment was once a week, they had to touch base with each other.
Mhm.
But there was a particular way. The older women had to text the younger women, and the younger women, the teenagers, had to write a letter to the older women.
No way.
Like snail
send it-
mail it.
Mhm.
I love that.
Oh my God.
Now there was a couple
that's
times where they
amazing.
just brought it to church, but they had to actually write it out, because I said, I want all of you to get out of your comfort zone
Yeah.
and do something that
that is
helps the other
cool.
person.
That's
Holy
very cool.
cow.
So I try to get out of the box the way I try to contribute,
That
and
is something.
try to make a difference in people's
Yeah.
lives. So
That's really cool.
That is very cool.
See, I want to do something similar to that with young men, because I can tell you now,
mentorships.
there's
Needed.
not a single, there's not enough young men out there that have a suit and tie. Okay.
Mhm.
If you're 16 years or older and you're driving a vehicle, you should have a suit and tie. Period. If you're going to a job interview, suit and tie. If you're going to a funeral, suit and tie. If you are of driving age and you have a vehicle, you better have a jacket. That's just, but nobody does that anymore.
Well, listen,
That's just me.
my 16-year-old did not have that. I don't disagree with you, but the reason why is because that stuff's expensive, and I'm not paying for that for him to grow out of it.
I get it. Yeah.
I do agree that young men should have a suit and tie.
Hey, you can find that stuff at Goodwill.
Well, and that's the other side. They don't have to be like
Yeah.
fitted Armani suits.
Right.
I'm
Well,
talking
no,
about
he's not
just
getting a fitted Armani at 18 either, Patrick. Because he would want some. He has suede shoes.
no,
Okay?
but, good Lord. But what I'm saying is you can pick up sport jackets really cheap.
Yeah, no, I
You
get
know,
what you're saying. I'm just
And
joking.
I think every young man should have that and feel proud to wear something like that, because that shows you coming of age.
And a belt.
Oh my God, 100% a belt. Please put a freaking belt on. I've had the same belt. I'm not kidding. I've had the same belt since I was 20 years old.
Oof, what does that look like? A string?
Oh, it's pretty bad. I've literally I'm a lot more notches than than where I was at. Yes. I weigh a
more
lot.
notches than it was
No,
before.
no, wait a minute. No, not that kind of notches.
I know.
I
but-
mean, this derailed way too far.
I know, but that's just fine. That's what you.
So my conspiracy theory.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
For cursive.
For cursive. You know why they're not teaching cursive in school anymore? What's written in cursive? The most important
signature.
document.
Declaration of Independence.
The Declaration of Independence
yeah,
is written
that-
in
yeah.
cursive. If they can't
Constitution.
read it, how do they know
Yep.
what their rights are?
Well, we don't read it anyway, so. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm saying if you can't read it, you'll never learn what your rights
Well,
are.
so they brought cursive back.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Because-
are they?
Well, some schools did because my he's not 17. I don't know why I keep saying that. My 18-year-old, he does not know cursive, and it's so funny to this day to watch him try to do a signature.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always like, just do a big T and then be like, that's what it ends up as an adult, anyways, right?
Right.
But he cannot read it. He cannot write it. Barely can do a signature. Now my youngest, he knows how to do cursive. He's in 8th grade. They brought it back, but
Do you have different signatures depending on what you're doing?
I have a David signature every time I write my name.
See, I have like my contract signature,
Mhm.
Okay.
but then I have like the UPS signature or the Amazon
Oh,
signature.
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. That's not even a signature. I just
No, I
like
just
that.
do like a squiggly line
Yeah.
or like the credit card signature.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, credit cards.
But then
like
I
that.
have like my contract signature that's real nice and proper. But
Yeah. Well, because contract signature, that's a good way to put it. Because we buy a lot of investment property, buy a lot of
Yeah.
houses, right? And that
Mhm.
has to be the same signature on every single paper that you sign.
Yep.
So yes, I
I
have
stamp.
Except here's where I screwed the pooch on that one is that I spell out my entire name, including
Oh
my middle
my
initial.
God.
Where like after the 6th page, you're like, why is this your contract
No,
signature?
mine's just my first initial and my last name. And
Yeah,
I'm
no,
done.
I spelled that. Yeah.
No,
Not a smart move.
No.
Yeah.
no,
So-
that's not good at all.
But I love that you do that though. It gave me a few ideas sitting here thinking about the 2 different generations. I love that. I love the letter thing. When you're saying that, I'm thinking about like a makeover
Mm.
for older women, like from
Yeah.
each other, right? Because one
Yeah.
of the things I love is like how they used to dress in like the 1920, 30. Not to if any of those people are listening. I'm not aging you. I don't know dates,
I
numbers,
don't know
nothing.
that anybody from the 20s or 30s are going to be listening to this.
You might be surprised.
That's pushing 100.
Yeah.
We're in 2024. So if somebody from 1921
50-year-old
is
truck,
listening,
but right, it goes to our point about a 50-year-old truck. He's
It
like,
does.
this to me is a 50-year-old truck, but really, this is a 50-year-old truck.
yeah, I'm looking at a 54 Ford and I'm like, this isn't 50 years old.
Yeah.
My 71 is over 50 years
Yeah.
old now. It's like, are you kidding?
But even somebody that's in their 70s is somebody that was born in 2011 is like, that's mind blowing.
They weren't
right?
born in
right.
2011 if they're 70.
No, somebody
them.
that was born.
Oh, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, I think your math's off.
Because one of my favorite things about like my relation with my grandma was the stuff, like the pictures she would show me and the stories she would tell me about how things used to be, like that is
You know,
cool.
I find it amazing. And I think I've talked about this in the past. My great grandpa was born in the late 1800s and saw so many advances in technology, from electricity
Yeah.
to the telephone to the car, to airplanes.
Mhm.
First airplane. He was in World War I, I think, and II. I want to say. I mean, just the different things that he saw. And our technology is only 100 to 150 years old.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
we do today. And I can tell you now, we've gotten so lazy that our technology has made us so lazy, we could not survive in their world.
Well,
Like-
speak for yourself. I could.
Well,
Also part of the grand plan.
yeah, okay. Oh man, I'm digging this. She's this is so cool. We can do an
I'm not a
entire
conspiracy theorist. I'm just a
Yeah.
See, I am too, but if I don't say
I like her.
conspiracy theory, everybody's gonna be like, that's not true. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. You people get on my nerves.
We've been right so far, but
Yeah. Right.
you can take that L. It's okay.
Good Lord. So you like it here?
I love it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually, I was running an errand for work the other day, and I saw someone from church, because so many people were praying for me through that other situation. And,
She needs a lot of help.
and I saw her, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I have to grab something, for work." And she's like, "Oh, how are you liking it?" And I literally started talking about it and started crying.
Oh,
I'm like,
really?
it's just so amazing to feel appreciated. I mean, my confidence level was in the basement.
Sure.
I mean, and I mean, even like no matter how good my numbers were with my CPAP, for instance, no matter how well I slept at night, I was still like wanting to doze off at work. I mean, I was almost to the point of getting depressed, because I'm just like,
Sure.
nothing. I mean, everything that I tried to do that I knew was going above and beyond, customer service, manners, the way I was taught, was unacceptable.
Sure.
I mean, I got in trouble for saying ma'am. If I would say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and anything that.
I don't mind if you call me ma'am. I mean, that's whatever. Do what you need to do.
Well, there were only women, so I didn't use sir. But I mean, it's just everything about me, about Martina. I couldn't be me.
Sure.
It wasn't utilized, and it was just, I was tired. I was sad. I was, like I said, almost getting depressed. And I mean, just so quickly being here, I just felt like I just came alive again.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, now let me pause it so you can tell the truth. I'm just joking.
That's crazy, because mine just froze up and went away. Look at that.
All right, he's out of the room. Let's dive in.
That's so horrible. I don't know what's going on with my camera.
It's
today,
the what do you call it?
the internet.
Yeah, whatever. The internet. The
Are we having solar flares again?
Like, you guys think the best is
so now Chinese hacks our system, and it's called a solar flare.
Yeah, they've hacked our system for the past 5 years, not just recently. Like any
Are
moment,
you gonna bring me back out on the stage?
Any
or
moment,
are you just gonna let me sit backstage like I'm not part of this group anymore now?
You have been voted out.
Yeah, I got voted off the island that time. Good Lord.
Oh, that was funny. What perfect timing! You just dipped out.
Yeah, right.
It probably looks like I really paused it, and you.
I know. Thank God I kept talking. So it was real.
It's okay. We can mute that.
Oh, good Lord.
Because there'll be no evidence. Right?
Yes. Right. Awesome. Well, thank you for doing this.
Oh,
and
thank you.
You were nervous to be on camera, and an hour's already flown by. Can you believe it?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm just not looking at that part.
I told you it was fun.
So like I said, I have no problem talking. I'm fine with that. Just don't want to see it.
It's a blast. It's a blast. I love this stuff.
Well, it's like talking with friends, chatting.
Yeah.
So
that's all it
very
is.
Cool.
Talk about life.
Awesome. So if you guys would like to see Miss Martina, you just come up to Epic in Troy.
Yeah.
Say hello.
Yeah, she'll bounce you right out.
That's so good. That's so good. Bring your snacks.
Yeah, I was going to say, bring dark chocolate.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Miss Martina. Appreciate
you guys. Thank you.
All right.
We had a blast.
Yeah, that was so much fun. All right. And this concludes this episode of Mental Mismanagement, where perfection is for losers and we're just winging it.
There you go.
That's my favorite.
We pace and we fidget with every